Hello, I am Above Average Joe, and today we are covering Utahraptor, a giant dromaeosaur from Utah. Who would have guessed? Anyway, let's get right into it. A long time ago in Utah, there lived the biggest raptor known to man. This behemoth was 5.5 meters long and weighed 350 kilograms. It was one of the oldest raptors that we've ever seen, living from 139 to 134 million years ago. It was Utahraptor. The name translates to Utah plunderer in English. The animal has risen to become one of the most famous of all the dinosaurs in a relatively short period. It was first discovered in 1975 by a crew led by Jim Jensen. But this wasn't a true discovery. The bones were too fragmented to even tell what type of theropod the creature was. The true discovery of the animal would come years later in 1991, when a museum preparator named Carl Lamone stumbled upon the large claw of a dromaeosaur. The bone was 9 inches long and would have been 15 inches with keratin in life. Additional fossils found by Jim Kirkland working at Brigham Young University prompted an expedition and investigation of the findings. The crew struggled with funding. Jim Kirkland even suggested naming the animal Utahraptor Spielbergi in order to entice a certain filmmaker working on a big-budget movie at the time. Eventually, they overcame their financial woes and uncovered the site. In 1993, it was given the species name Ostromyces, honoring two men, John Ostrom, who discovered and described Deinonychus back in the 60s, and also changed our perception of dinosaurs as a whole, and Chris Mays, a special effects artist who helped fund research into Utahraptor. The discovery was of course significant, and everyone involved was happy to see it finished. More Utahraptors have been found since. The most significant discovery by Jim Kirkland and a class of grad students was of a giant sandstone block. The block contained 7 Utahraptors, 1 adult, 4 juveniles, 1 hatchling, and 1 incomplete skeleton that is hard to classify. These animals seem to have been trapped in a thick patch of mud after trying to eat an iguanodon that had previously become stuck in the very same mud. This had led many to theorize that Utahraptor was a pack hunter. Others have suggested that the animal was simply engaging in group feeding, which isn't unusual and has been seen in animals like Komodo dragons and vultures. Whether or not Utahraptor was a pack hunter is a difficult question to answer since their behavior cannot be observed. What we do know is that Utahraptor was the apex predator of its environment. It lived alongside many other herbivorous dinosaurs, but all of the large predator groups were notably absent. Ancient Utah was surrounded by waterways and mountains that kept competition out. This makes Utahraptor a case of insular gigantism. When an otherwise small group of animals becomes isolated and the abundance of resources in that environment allows them to become gigantic. Indeed, this environment was home to large forests with small patches of arid land in between that supported 2 iguanodon species. The smaller one of the 2, Hippodraco, would have made perfect food for Utahraptor. Gastonia, a heavily armored nodosaur with large, sharp, blade-like plates adorning its body, a basal therizinosaur named Martharaptor that stood as tall as a man, as long with smaller dinosaur species, fish, reptiles, 1 species of mammal, and of course the gigantic sauropod, Sidarosaurus, which was 15 meters long and weighed 10 tons, an animal which, although they would have made good food for a Utahraptor scavenging on a dead one, they would have never hunted a living one. Utahraptor's primary food source would have been these 2 species of iguanodon in all likelihood, but it has been proposed that Utahraptor could have had a surprisingly piscivorous diet. This isn't without evidence. Utahraptor had front teeth curved outward, which is a novel feature among dromaeosaurs. This could have been an adaptation to catch hard-to-grip-on prey, like fish. The evidence for this is very circumstantial. Other large raptors have lived since Utahraptor, such as Dakotaraptor and Echinobator. These animals were only slightly smaller than Utahraptor, but they were much more agile and less bulky. This may be explained by the fact that they were never the top predators in their environments. Dakotaraptor, found in the Hell Creek Formation, would have lived alongside Tyrannosaurus rex. Ultimately, Utahraptor faded from the fossil record about 134 million years ago. The 2 main theories about its decline agree that Utahraptor was pushed out of its niche as a top predator by the competitive Acrocanthosaurs and Tyrannosaurs, who took over North America shortly after Utahraptor's disappearance. Whether or not Utahraptor went completely extinct or simply evolved into a secondary predator role is a point of contention. For all we know, Dakotaraptor could be a descendant of Utahraptor. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, make sure to like it and subscribe and push the notification bell. And also, make sure to go to my subreddit r/AboveAverageJoeYT. And also, make sure to comment. And also, make sure to share